The ship tore through the skies of Apokolips. Inside the cockpit, Batman's hands moved with machine-like precision across the controls. Wonder Woman stood beside him, leaned slightly toward him and asked if he already knew where to hide Lobo, the unstoppable bounty hunter they'd captured. Batman didn't even look up. He said he did, and that Apokolips was a mechanical labyrinth, a planet built like a living weapon. And that could work against them. If they wanted to see enemies coming before it was too late, there was only one place that made sense: the Dark Baron. Batman guided the ship through the storms and descended toward a stretch of wasteland. As the ramp lowered, the Justice League stepped out. Green Lantern, John Stewart, hovered forward first. He turned to Batman and asked if he and Hal Jordan should build a proper cell for Lobo, because the ship's barracks weren't strong enough to hold a monster like him without constant supervision. Batman said no. Maintaining a construct that long would drain too much of their energy. They'd store Lobo somewhere better, somewhere designed to keep creatures far worse than him contained. He pointed ahead. "There," he said simply. Superman floated closer. He asked what it was. Batman's reply was, "It's an Apokolips summer home." Flash zipped up beside him. "What? Like a vacation rental? For who?" Batman glanced down at his scanner and said, "For Teased, Darkseid's chief torturer." They made their way to the structure. Inside, the air was stale and heavy, thick with the smell of rusted iron. Chains hung from the ceilings, cages lined the walls, and strange tools of pain were scattered. Batman looked around and said it would do. Teased, he explained, would have had ways to restrain prisoners here. It was perfect for their needs. Superman's gaze swept over the room. He couldn't help but murmur, "My God," under his breath. The Green Lanterns brought in Lobo, who was wrapped in glowing chains of energy. The bounty hunters grinned wide despite his restraints. He said something about it being his kind of bachelor pad. Batman didn't react. He just mentioned there were several beds scattered throughout, though he would recommend the others inspect them before laying down. John nodded, already taking command. He said he'd do a sweep to make sure the area was secure, but night was approaching. He asked what their next move was. Before Batman could answer, a voice cut through. It was Flash, walking toward them with a bag of marshmallows. He grinned and said that the next move was obvious. "That's easy, John. Campfire ghost stories." Later that night, the League gathered around a fire built from alien debris. They sat in a loose circle. Superman, Wonder Woman, Batman, Flash, and the Lanterns, all surrounded by shadows. Batman didn't seem at ease. He muttered, "I don't like this." Flash smirked, roasting a marshmallow over the fire, and told him of course he didn't. Batman said that the campfire could attract unwanted attention and that they didn't know what kind of creatures roamed this planet's surface. It wasn't worth the risk just so Flash could eat. As he put it, s'mores. Superman corrected him, saying it was s'mores. Batman didn't miss a beat and said that's what he said. John then asked if Hal was joining them, but Hal was standing a little further away, his ring glowing faintly as he checked in with Jessica Cruz and Kilowog at the United Planets. Through the ring's projection, Jessica appeared. She said things were getting messy. The delegates were growing impatient, demanding to know where Lobo was. Kilowog's voice could be heard in the background, bellowing threats. The situation was deteriorating. Some factions had even split off from the United Planets, placing a bounty on Lobo's head. Jessica suspected the truth, that they didn't want Lobo facing trial because he'd worked for them before. They didn't want their secrets dragged into the light. Hale told her that they'd stay extra vigilant, thanked her, and cut the connection. When he returned to the campfire, Wonder Woman asked how things were. Hale replied, "Well, besides keeping an eye out for his enemies, there's also a massive bounty on Lobo's head. So, as always, he sits down beside them and continues, 'It's us against the universe.'" Wonder Woman nodded and took a slow sip from her mug. She said they'd been here before, fighting impossible odds, standing against cosmic forces with nothing but each other. And they'd be here again. She looked around, saying, "You can fight it all you want, gentlemen, but we're bound together. Books will be written about our deeds for millennia to come. We are family, and families may fight, but in the end, they're all still family." She raised her cup and said, "To the League." And the others followed. John repeated the words, Flash grinned, and added, "Hell yeah." Batman didn't say anything. Superman joined in, proudly saying, "To the League." After a while, Flash yawned and said he'd better head to bed, even if that meant laying on one of Desaad's death-trap beds. Superman tells him, "No worries, Flash," and that Diana and he could keep watch since neither of them needed sleep. Hale stretched and wished everyone good night. As the team dispersed, Batman was still sitting around the campfire with Superman and Wonder Woman. John turned back to Batman. "Bruce, come on, man, you gotta sleep." Batman stood up and said fine, but not before mentioning, "Just so you know, I can fall asleep in 7 seconds and only need 2 hours, so don't hesitate to wake me if need be." As Bruce walks inside with the others, Diana and Clark sat by the fire, watching the flames burn low. She said to him, "You can grab some sleep too if you'd like, Clark. I know you don't need it, but it's still good to have." Clark shook his head. He said that it's okay. Lately, sleep wasn't his favorite thing. Inside the structure, the sound of the fire grew distant. Batman lay still in the shadows, the man who never stops. But for this one fragile night, he did. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to this channel.